Bluey has touched on very deep topics throughout the series, and among them are the deaths of some characters. I think the most well-known of these incidents is Chilli's mom. But did you know that 6 other characters have also died? Stick around to find out who they are, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe, otherwise one of these characters will come back to life as a zombie and eat Bluey. Chilli's mom, Bluey's grandma, who she'll never get to meet except in flashbacks. And it was in the episode Dragon from season 3 that they confirmed she had passed away. Before this episode aired, many fans found it strange that we hadn't seen Bluey's maternal grandma. We'd already met other older characters like Grandpa Mort, Bob, or Nana, but with this episode, we learned the truth. The episode takes a very heartfelt approach to Chilli's feelings about her mother. They explain why Chilli always tells the girls that her mom supported her hobby of drawing and encouraged her to keep going. But in a really emotional moment, we see a scene with a drawing Chilli made of her mom, showing just how deep her feelings still are. If you didn't know, there's a hidden photo in the healer house where you can clearly see what Bluey's grandma looked like. But the saddest part of the episode happens at the end, when Chilli says goodbye to the horse she drew. It turns into a Pegasus and flies into the sky. This moment teaches a powerful lesson for both kids and adults. The Pegasus represents all the emotions Chilli still carries about her mom. And when it flies off, it symbolizes how we have to let go of that emotional weight and move forward, knowing our loved one is watching over us from the sky. We still don't officially know what Chilli's mom died of, but many fans believe it was a serious illness, possibly cancer. That's why the episode is called Dragon, since the illness was big and powerful, and only a few can defeat it. All that's left to know is how old Chilli's mom was when she passed away. Hopefully in season 4 we'll get a flashback showing whether Bandit ever met his mother-in-law. The episode The Sign surprised us with a lot of things no one expected to happen to the Healer family. But right at the beginning, when the kids are having a contest to see who has the saddest story, another character death is revealed. Pretzel tells how he had a guinea pig that went missing and never came back. While he tells the story, Rusty makes a comment that unsettles the other kids. He says a snake probably ate it. And it's not that Rusty wanted to be mean to poor Pretzel. What he said actually makes a lot of sense. Remember, Bluey takes place in Australia, which is home to over 120 species of snakes. Some of them eat rodents and mammals, so Rusty's theory is pretty believable. But did the guinea pig really die? Well, in that same episode they tell us what actually happened. Bluey asks her teacher Calypso why all her stories always have happy endings. And Calypso tells her that not all stories have happy endings. That tells us Pretzel Guinea Pig didn't have a happy ending, and is probably in a better place now. One of the biggest losses in the series was a character who never appeared on screen, but still caused a huge reaction in the Bluey fanbase. I'd even say this is the biggest theory the show has ever had. And if you're a real fan, you already know I'm talking about Bluey's lost little brother. It was in the episode The Show where this tragedy was revealed. Bluey and Bingo were putting on a special show for Chilli for Mother's Day, and in one of the most clever ways possible, they told us that Chilli had a miscarriage before Bluey was born. When the balloon is in Bingo's belly, it pops, which causes Bandit to hold Chilli's hand. It's clear this symbolizes the loss of a baby who never got the chance to be born. At first, this was just a theory, but in season 3, during the episode Rain, they gave us an even clearer confirmation that Chilli's miscarriage was real and did happen in the Bluey universe. In this scene, Bluey and Chilli are hugging in front of a double rainbow in the sky. So, if you know what a rainbow baby is, you know how deep this scene really is. But in case you don't know, a rainbow baby is a child born after the parents have lost a previous baby. That means Bluey and Bingo are the rainbow babies in this story. That's why there's a double rainbow. It confirms that Bluey had an older sibling who passed away, and the most amazing thing about this is that it connects with real life. The Blue Healer and Red Healer dog breeds have lots of fertility issues, so this detail in the show could be referencing the real-life biology of those dog breeds. By now, you might already remember another character who died on screen in Bluey, and it has to do with a pet that passed away in the episode Copycat. This death really surprised me, especially since it happened early in the show during the first season. In this episode, Bluey and Bandit are playing a game of imitating each other, when suddenly Bluey notices a little Budgie lying next to a tree. The two of them pick the Budgie and take it to the vet, hoping it's still alive. But after the checkup, a member of the staff gives Bluey and her dad the heartbreaking news that unfortunately, the bird didn't make it. It was actually the first time we see Bluey dealing with something so serious. She was so impacted by it that later in the episode, we see her playing vet with Bingo. That's when she realizes that no matter how much we want everything to go well, there will always be things that go wrong. The episode surprise really did surprise us when we saw an adult version of Bluey and she even had a son. There were a lot of interesting details in that scene, like how the city looks more futuristic and there are robots inside the healer's house. But one detail that not many people thought about was, what happened to Bluey's grandparents? For example, what about Nana? As sad as it may seem, friends, in this final scene of surprise, it's most likely that the grandma now is Chilli, because Nana has already passed away. The same could be true for Grandpa Mort, but here's an important detail we need to consider with him. It's very possible that in future episodes, maybe in Season 4, we'll see the death of Grandpa Mort. But how could that happen? Well, friends, the truth is, everyone's time comes eventually. But some people pass away before others for different reasons. I think Grandpa Mort might go before Nana, based on what we saw in the episode where Chilli wanted her dad to rest and take his medication after surgery. Even though he seems like a strong grandpa with lots of life left in him, we have to remember he may be dealing with a health issue. In The Sign, we saw him dancing like a healthy young man. And in the episode Granddad, he was trying to move a big log by himself, while in Stumpfest it took a Bandit, Stripe, and Pat to do that. But as the episode went on, we could see Grandpa Mort getting tired more easily, and it even looked like his chest hurt, hinting at possible heart problems. And this is why he needed to rest and not overexert himself. Maybe that's why, at the end of the episode, Chilli also came to terms with the idea that her dad might not have much time left, and just decided to accept who he is and enjoy the beautiful moments they still have together. And of course we have to end with the last grandparent we haven't talked about, Grandpa Bob. There's a lesser known theory about him that's worth mentioning. He appeared in the early episodes of Bluey, but then disappeared for a long time, until he finally returned in the episode The Sign. At one point, fans believed that Grandpa Bob had died, and that Bandit and Chilli were keeping it a secret from Bluey so she wouldn't feel sad. But in The Sign, he told us he had gone on a long trip to India to rediscover himself. However, there's a lesser known theory that maybe Grandpa Bob went to India to get treatment for a serious illness. Maybe he went there for cheaper medical cost or shorter wait times. So it's possible that Grandpa Bob is sick, and we just don't know it yet. Have you ever wondered what happened to Judo's dad? Some people think the reason we've never seen him is because he actually passed away. And that would explain how Wendy has enough money to take care of herself and her daughter, even though she doesn't seem to have a job. Some fans say she's a Pilates instructor and makes good money that way. But honestly, if that were true, we probably would have seen at least a hint of it by now. Others say she cuts hair to make money. But again, just because someone can cut hair doesn't mean that's their job. Knowing how to cook doesn't make someone's profession a chef, right? And that's where the theory comes in. Maybe Judo's dad died, and Wendy received some kind of pension or financial support to take care of her daughter. Of course, this could also be true if she simply divorced him and is receiving child support. In several episodes, we've seen Wendy alone without Judo, and we've also seen how Bluey doesn't see Judo very often, even though they're neighbors. It's also been suggested that Judo doesn't live full-time with her mother. Maybe she spends part of the week with her dad and the rest with Wendy. But well, what do you guys think about all this? Do you know any other deaths that happened in the Bluey universe? We'll be reading your thoughts in the comments.